What up, y'all? We got some Meg, Milagro, and Tory Lanez news to get into. You know, Meg and Tory are completely almost synonymous with each other at this point. Whenever Tory names come up, I think it's automatically tied to Meg, but I don't think it works in reverse, that when we think of Meg, we think of Tory. But maybe some people do. But let's get into some recent news. So, DDG is obviously releasing a new song, and Tory Lanez is going to be featured on it, and he previewed this clip on Twitter, social media. Now, some people thought, hey, DDG, this is in a little poor taste because DDG's baby's mother is Halle Bailey. Halle Bailey is an artist of Beyonce. Beyonce is married to Jay-Z. Jay-Z is the owner of Roc Nation. Roc Nation manages Meg Thee Stallion. So some people said, hey, those lines are kind of intertwined there. I'm sure maybe Halle Bailey has talked to you about this case, but now that they've broken up, is he kind of poking the bear a little bit? Or does DDG just think Tory Lanez is a good rapper and he wants to put him on the track? Hey, let's just take a look at it and see. Y'all make up y'all mind and let me know.
Sit in my cell and I think about the rumors and shit that they selling. The money in pocket is heavy, I can't even count it. I just gotta get it, the skeleton, fuck it. It's all about the rumors. They sent me to prison and gave me a 10 pieces. I wasn't telling, but I made an oath to the city to never go snitching, even if it killed me or made me a felon.
Okay, now, Mr. Tory Lanez. So he says in that song that he got sent to jail because he was never snitching. He made a promise to his city that he would never snitch. Tory Lanez, you went to jail because you fired a weapon recklessly and you hit somebody. That's just it. Point blank, period. The courts have spoken. The evidence is against you, and it says that you are guilty. He has to stop this narrative that he took the charge. Like, who are you taking the charge for? Are you now saying you took the charge for Kelsey? Are we back to the beginning where we're saying Kelsey is now the shooter? Now, I will say the DNA evidence on the gun was inconclusive, right? They couldn't really figure out whose DNA it belonged to, but that's normal. It could have been smudged, wiped off. What has been concluded is that DNA on that gun, 90% of it belonged to a male. So either you did it, or are you now saying the bodyguard did it? Or are we back to saying that Kelsey did it? Because Tory and his people just keep switching. First, she wasn't shot. Then she was shot, but Kelsey did it. And now maybe Kelsey didn't do it. Maybe they were fighting and Meg shot herself. Look, the courts have spoken. You did it, my boy. I know it's a tough pill to swallow because I'd be upset too if I had to go to jail for 10 years because I got too drunk and lost my temper. Okay, that's mad crazy. You should have took that plea deal that Sean Holly had lied up. Should have took them 2 years. You probably would have been getting ready to get out now. You probably would have had to get deported, but so did Sean. And he was able to work it out and come back. But my boy, he's doing this to kind of keep social media talking. Like, Tory knows what he's doing. It's crazy. Now, in other news, Milagro Gramz, who is a YouTuber content creator, obviously Tory Lanez fan, she's being sued by Meg Thee Stallion. And Meg is saying, hey, yo, you have taken it overboard. This isn't just a situation where you're just doing content. You're harassing me. You're sharing pictures or videos that's completely inappropriate and not really me. You're cyberbullying. You're stalking. Meg is trying to get a restraining order against Milagro. Okay, she's tired. She's tired of your mess, Milagro. Let's take a look at some of these court documents to see what's going on. All right, so the first thing that we got here is going to be a notice of mediation. What this pretty much says is plaintiff Megan Pete, by and through undersigned counsel, hereby files this notice of mediator selection and states as follows: as required by the court scheduling order, the parties have met and conferred and agreed to mediate the underlying dispute with Judge Scott Silverman. The mediation will occur on March 10th, 2025. So in about 3 months, both parties, Meg and Milagro, they're going to sit down, talk with a judge, see if they can work this out behind closed doors. They can't work it out. Meg says she want to take this to trial. Meg ain't playing with Milagro, man. She told people in that documentary she was going to start suing people. Okay, and Milagro, you number one on the list. Now, from Milagro's point of view, this is another document that we have up here. Milagro tried to get the case dismissed. Milagro's pretty much saying like, hey, y'all need to throw this case out. I'm just a content creator. I have a First Amendment freedom of speech. I can say what I want. sis, you can't. But yeah, she's like, this is my First Amendment. I'm just being a journalist. Y'all should throw this case out. And the courts is pretty much like, no, we're not going to throw the case out. We can't throw it out because Meg and her people down at Rock Nation, they've just amended the complaint and they've added some additional accusations in here. So we got to hold off and see what's going on first. Heard the homies over at Document Teams. That's my homegirl or homeboy. I really don't know if it's a man or a woman, but they be having all the documents and we be DMing sometimes. But per Document Teams, they have the amended complaint, and these are the things that's just recently been added. Looks like we have defamation, promotion of an altered blank depiction, international infliction of emotional distress, and cyberstalking. I really thought that when this document came out, the other one, let me jump back over to that one. When this document came out here that they wanted to kind of mediate, I thought Meg was going to kind of take it light, like, hey, you know, we're going to see if we can work this out behind closed doors. Now, this was filed like a week ago. I think I remember this showing up like a week ago that they were moving forward with mediation. Today or yesterday, this document was filed that says, yeah, we doing mediation, but I'm adding some more complaints in here. I'm bulking up this lawsuit because I'm not playing. So, wow. Milagro, you took it kind of far, my good sis. And Milagro stated earlier that Meg is also trying to get a restraining order against her. Crazy. Let's take a listen and see what Milagro had to say about all this. Let me pull it up here for y'all. We're gonna steal this off of Armand's stream. Shout out Armand. Please don't strike our channel. We just want to put the news up, and you got the audio, so I'm going to pull it from you, Armand. Hold on.
If speaking on someone who is a public figure, if speaking on that continually can be turned into this, and if you have an adverse opinion, one that is not positive, that celebrity can then go in and say, okay, I would like to get a restraining order. How have we jumped to this? Okay, if the restraining order is granted, that would mean I could not discuss her. What and who does that benefit? And what would that do for the ecosystem?
It's a slippery slope. The problem we're running into with this is... Let me take my headset off. The problem we're running into with this isn't Meg Thee Stallion is suing Milagro because she's doing content around her. I don't know if Milagro is so close to the situation that she does not realize like how overly obsessive she was with this Tory Meg situation. Now, I'm not one to judge because I'm covering the Diddy case very obsessively as well. The biggest difference is I'm just kind of keeping it with facts, what's coming out in the court documents, or we talking about a little history. Milagro was not only inputting her opinion, there was a certain level of vitriol behind it. Like there was a certain level of disdain that came with her commentary, and that probably can be okay. You probably can do commentary and not like someone, but the boundaries started to get crossed, and I don't think she realizes that. It became a little weird. It started really to turn into Tasha K versus Cardi B. Okay, it was a lot. But yo, let's see if we can pull up this complaint and skim through it right quick. Let's take a look at the lawsuit, right? We're going to skim through this. It's like 40 pages long. We're not going to read the full thing. All right, so Milagro is the defendant. Let's get into it. And of course, Miss P is Meg Thee Stallion. So, defendant is the longtime mouthpiece of Daystar Peterson, a convicted felon who shot Mrs. Pete in 2020 and has been working with him ever since to falsely brand Miss Pete as an incompetent liar and alcoholic. As a part of their vendetta, defendant spreads vicious and hateful rumors about Mrs. Pete to her over 100,000 social media followers, causing Miss Pete extreme emotional distress. All right, if you follow my channel, you know I always say the key to paper trails and the key to winning lawsuits, get everything documented. All right. So the key thing in this lawsuit that's mentioned on page 1 is, hey, Milagro, the things that you're doing is causing Meg Thee Stallion emotional distress. All right. How do we know that Meg has suffered from emotional distress? She did a documentary, and in that documentary, she talked about how losing her mom in that case was causing so much stress that she had a nervous breakdown, essentially. And she had to go to therapy. She had to go to this retreat. She had to pretty much go get her mind right. All of this is documented. She's going to have a therapist taking down all of these notes. This helps in these lawsuits And that's been my complaint about a lot of these Diddy cases, a lot of these lawsuits is, do you have something from a therapist? Do you have a police report? Do you have a blank kit? You got to have something to help back up these lawsuits. So they're already laying the groundwork that Milagro has caused Meg emotional distress. And we know she's gone to therapy about it. We've seen it on the doc. I'm not going to read this lawsuit word for word because it's like 40 pages. So we're just going to pick the good things out. All right. So it says, since Mr. Peterson's 2020 indictment for felony assault with a firearm after shooting Miss Pete to his later conviction in December of 2020 up through today, the defendant has performed Mr. Peterson's bidding by spreading malicious falsehoods about Miss Pete. Defendant does so by engaging in disgusting acts of harassment directed at Miss Pete on defendant's online social media sites. The only purpose of her statements are to bully, harass, and punish Miss Pete for Mr. Peterson's conviction, to tarnish her reputation, and to cause severe emotional distress. Emotional distress again. All right, the lengths to which Milagro has gone to harass and maliciously injure Megan Thee Stallion knows no bounds. For example, she promoted a deep fake intimate video artificially depicting Megan engaging in intimate acts without her knowledge or consent. After the defendant's promotion of this video led to a firestorm of negative reactions from others, the defendant then got on YouTube and doubled down on it on June 29th, claiming that Mrs. Pete was a professional victim and denied any wrongdoing. Tracking everything, Milagro. Defendant also defamed Miss Pete and sought to destroy her reputation by spreading falsehoods, repeatedly asserting that Miss Pete is a liar who perjured herself in trial. Falsely accused Mr. Peterson of a felony and is continuing to lie to the courts. Defendant has even publicly admitted to spreading misinformation about the trial. Finally, on November 19th, 2024, she admitted that her claims were bogus after perpetuating a misinformation campaign. So, about a month after this lawsuit dropped, they said Milagro finally came out and was like, all right, maybe I wasn't telling the truth about everything. It said defendant's false statements regarding the trial are a part and parcel of a relationship with Mr. Peterson in which defendant acts as a paid surrogate used to spread Mr. Peterson's lies about Miss Pete. Indeed, on October 29th, 2024, defendant applied that she was still on Mr. Peterson's payroll. Furthermore, as Mr. Peterson's prison call logs obtained through early discovery in this case demonstrate that Mr. Peterson has repeatedly discussed defendant with his father, the two confidently asserted that Meg would never be able to prove that Tory pays or paid defendant for attacking Meg. Defendant has also repeatedly attacked Meg by saying that she requires a guardian, suffers from alcoholism, and is mentally unstable. Meg has repeatedly taken to social media to address the toll that accusations of her lying about Tory in the trial have had on her mental health and well-being. At one point during the trial, Meg testified to having thoughts about unaliving herself. In response to Mrs. Pete's vulnerability and plea for peace, Milagro suggested that Meg should just get over it or go away. Enough is enough. Miss Pete, a victim of a violent crime and champion of women's rights to her millions of fans worldwide, will no longer stand for defendant's campaign of harassment. She brings this first amended complaint for damages and equitable relief to end defendant's vendetta against her. Hey, they got all Milagro stuff in this. Oh, man. They said it's no secret that defendant has a close relationship with Tory. She has publicly acknowledged her friendship with Tory's father, Sunstar Peterson, in a video that has since been deleted. Damn. In a YouTube post, defendant shared an image of Miss Pete over a news that questioned whether Mrs. Pete is a professional victim. They got all your stuff, sis. Oh my God, bro. This is long. I'm gonna have to come back another day and really just break down this full lawsuit. Like, they have so much stuff on Milagro. It just keeps going. Hey, bro, look at this. This is crazy. Hey, this a wrap, man. Milagro, you better hope like she ain't trying to be like her sis Cardi and just completely bury you and sue you for like a crazy amount, but the amount of evidence that they have against you, whoa. Hey, y'all better hope the judge can work it out in mediation, because if this goes to a trial, all the stuff that they have and all the things that she said about Meg, that's not journalism, that's not content creation, that's like a personal vendetta, man. A jury is not gonna let that fly. Oh my. Oh, no, 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 no. Mm-mm. And pray that Meg don't want to be nasty and do criminal charges. Because some of this stuff is borderline like harassment, cyberstalking. Hey, but that's all I got for today, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with me. Who do you think is going to win this lawsuit? Peace.